Okay, so today is Friday, 7th of February 2025, about 10 a.m. Air temperature 17 degrees centigrade, which I think is about 64 Fahrenheit. The fish are reasonably active. The water temperature is probably still quite cool, but they're up and about this morning and looking reasonably hungry. Now, in my subtropical location, winter can perhaps be thought of as only January and February, when it can get quite cool. So now, just about beginning of February, I suppose you could call it midwinter. So far, we haven't had any really cold weather down to maybe 6 degrees centigrade, but it sometimes gets down to about 10 at night. Sometimes get up to 20 during the day. So in that sort of temperature range. However, it's usually dry and pleasantly cool. So I like to spend most of the time outdoors, pottering about on some small, what you might call small projects this time of year. And I emphasize small projects. They're just sort of various bits and pieces I like to mess about with. I'm somewhat elderly, so it's nothing major or exciting, but it's better exercise outdoors than going to a gym. And what I really like about keeping MEDAKA outdoors is there are very few sort of like standard methodologies which are described in detail, and so sometimes you just got to make things up as you go along and improvise. And that's compared to, say, keeping tropical fish in aquariums indoors where there's so much detailed information. If you follow that, it gets a bit boring, I think, anyway. So a lot depends on climate. You've got 4 seasons to deal with. You've got sort of outdoor predators, stuff like that. So based on what happens, from one month to the next, I can often come up with some small little projects where maybe I can do a bit of stuff to improve results or try and avoid problems in future. So I'll ramble on about some of this winter's MEDAKA related small little projects and stuff like that. So these are short clips I've spliced together, so it'll probably look a bit disjointed. Maybe it gives an idea the sort of MEDAKA stuff I'm doing this winter. For example, here I've got these sort of 6 tubs. Now there used to be these small IKEA Trofast tubs, which are fine, but I decided I wanted to get the larger tubs. I came across some larger Trofast tubs. They've got the same footprint, same surface area, but they're deeper so you can get more water in. So I had to change. I keep them in this sort of cold frame type thing or whatever, bit of recycled acrylic I got and some bits of recycled timber I constructed. But putting in these taller Trofast tubs meant I had to dismantle the whole lot, this cover, dismantle this frame and rebuild it. Small project, maybe took me a day just pottering about, but easy enough to do. And this is the area, egg hatching area, which used to have sort of smallish containers like this, and some are a bit old or whatever. So now I'm moving those, move those smaller Trophos tubs to here. It gives about 50% increase in water volume. And I cut the legs off this sort of table thing so it can sit down and you know, deal with the containers, look at the fry, make sure they're hatching okay, etc. And because these containers are taller than the others, I dismantled the cover, the roof, and raised that up a bit. So now it's just easier to deal with. And I've got about another 4 these smaller Trophos containers. I'll put, that'll give me 8 altogether for hatching eggs and raising fry up to a reasonable size. Somebody dumped some old shelving, so I've recycled bits of it to construct this rack to put on some grow out tubs for fry for the new spring breeding season, which probably will start in about mid-March. Another small project, I came across this plastic plant container. It's about 60 centimeters, 2 feet across the top, about 18 inches deep maybe, and it's about 80, will hold about 80 litres or about 20 gallons. But it's a project because it's not a brand name tub, it's black plastic, it's not brand name, it's very cheap, and I think it's highly probable it's made out of recycled plastic. So what the plastic was recycled from, I've got no idea. So it's not a brand name. And the question is, if I put water in, there's no holes in the bottom. So if I put water in there and put fish in, would the recycled plastic leach out toxins into the water and kill the fish? Now I don't know whether to try it and see what happens. I've had it out here sort of weathering, you know, in the sun and a bit of rain or whatever for a few weeks. So the question is, do I fill it with water, put some fish in and see if they survive, or do I put some sort of small bit of pond liner in there and try that? But a pond liner would be a bit unsightly, I think, compared to just putting the water in like this. I shall have to sort that out over the next few weeks. Now, I've got here some of these earthenware, glazed earthenware plant pots, tubs, similar to the ones already used as MEDAKA tubs. Got 2 here, another one at the back over there. They've got plants in. I'm thinking whether I want to rip out the plants and fill up all the drainage holes with epoxy putty to give me 3 more MEDAKA tubs. I like them, I think they're very nice. Whether I get round to doing that or not, I don't know. I will think about it for a week or so. So you can see from this tub, patching it up with 2-part epoxy putty gets it watertight. This tub was in fact broken in 2. You can see the long line of epoxy putty. Stuck it back together and it stayed watertight for quite a long time now. So these earthenware ceramic tubs are something I'd like to keep in preference to plastic tubs. An update on my previous video about hair algae. This is the tub I cleaned and sterilised. The fish I put back in the tub are happy. I found a bit of hair algae in this other tub next to it, so I'll just clean that out and just finished sterilising it. These two 80-litre 20-gallon plastic storage box containers have a lot of fry in them, and also very young juveniles from the autumn breeding season. It's quite cool at the moment, so they're not really visible. There are maybe a few there, but I think there are a lot somewhere around near the bottom, keeping still during this cool weather. This was from the autumn breeding season, which ceased about mid-December, when daylight lengthened to below 11 hours and the females stopped laying eggs. Now, as an experiment, this is the first time that I've tried keeping fry in unheated tubs throughout the winter. I mean, the idea is that these tubs are in full sun to try and heat them up as much as possible, which is why there's a lot of green water. And at 80 litres, these tubs may be large enough to retain at least some of that warmth through the colder nights. So far, fry seem to be surviving okay. So even though it's still winter, day length has now increased enough that a few females, and I'd say a few females, are starting to produce a few eggs. Not many females, not many eggs, but when on the occasional day when temperatures get up around 20 degrees centigrade, get a few eggs, and these have now started hatching out in these 3 heated tubs I have under cover. So one thing to get ready for the spring breeding season, I found last year that females often preferred laying their eggs on these floating plants because the roots had grown long enough, and they preferred that over the spawning mop. So it took me a while to discover why I wasn't getting any eggs. So now I'm getting ready for the spring breeding season by taking out all the old plants and putting in the new offsets. So you can see here these are the old plants up to a year old, now throwing out, and these here are the new offshoots, and you can see the roots there are very, very short, and hopefully if there are any eggs they will all get placed on the spawning mops. And that's about it. Might be a bit disjointed, but together with gardening work like pruning this tree, etc., as a somewhat elderly person, it's enough to keep me happily occupied outdoors in this pleasant dry weather, cool dry weather of a subtropical winter. And putting together videos like this is good for keeping my brain active. Okay.